Okay, today we're looking at 1.6, which is more sign rules. Today we're going to look at multiplying and dividing. So same note sheet here. So we learned a double negative becomes a positive. We learned when we're adding and subtracting, if the signs are alike, you add and keep the same sign. If the signs are different, you subtract and take the sign of the larger. Again, this is available on Blackboard if you want to download it. But today we're going to look at multiplying and dividing, and they're actually the easier rules. You just, for multiplying and dividing, if the signs are alike, it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. Alike, positive, different, negative. So let's look at some examples. So here's 4 different examples of the same numbers with different sign combinations so that you use your rules to know what it is. So for all these, we're going to say 2 times 4 is 8. But they're going to look, this doesn't have a sign, so this is a positive. So the signs are different, so it's negative. This one, same thing. We say 2 times 4 is 8. This one doesn't have a sign, so it's assumed to be plus, so the signs are different, so it's negative. But this next one's 2 times 4 is 8. But you see, this time they're both negative, so the signs are alike. It becomes positive. And the last one, that's the easiest one. 2 times 4 is 8. Everybody would get that one right. But the reason is because they're both positive, they stay positive. The signs are alike, so it's positive. So division works the same way. This is 18 divided by 9 is 2. But then you look and say the signs are different, so it's negative. Or this next one, 18 divided by 9 is 2. The signs are alike, so it's positive. So if the signs are different, negative, alike, positive. Okay, this next example, we're back to all of our rules. We've got to use order of operations and our sign rules on every one of these problems. So when we look at this first one, step 1 is, does it have parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Step 3, multiply and divide from left to right. So you've got to do this 4 times 3 first. So the 6 comes down, the minus comes down, and 4 times 3 is 12. Then you add or subtract. So here's where our sign rule comes in. 2 ways here. So you can multiply and bring down the negative, or you can think the signs are different, so it's a negative. You'll get that negative there either way. And then this is like a positive 6. So step 4 is, we're on our steps here, we multiplied and now we're adding and subtracting. So we look and say the signs are different, so we subtract. 12 minus 6 is 6, and take the sign of the larger one, which is negative. So you always subtract and take the sign of the larger when the signs are different. Let's look at this next one. Order of operations tells us we have to do parentheses first. So we're going to go inside there and say the signs are alike. So we add and keep the same sign and bring everything else down. So step 1 is we got rid of our parentheses. 2, there's not any exponents, but 3, we're going to multiply and divide from left to right. So the next thing we're going to do is this multiplication problem right here. So we're going to say 10 times 2 is 20. The signs are alike, so it's positive. So it's just going to stay at 20. Bring down the plus 6. And now step 4, we can add and subtract. 20 plus 6 is 26. Okay, let's look at this next one. There are parentheses, but you see there's nothing to do inside. So that really means multiplication. So step 1 is parentheses, but there's nothing to simplify. 2 is exponents, there's not any. 3 is to multiply or divide. So this is the next thing we're going to do. We just have to be careful on this one to bring down that negative, that 4, and that negative. This is one of the most missed problems on the test also. This one and the one just like it, forgetting to bring down that negative. Because now we're going to multiply these two and say 2 times 5 is 10. The signs are different, so it's negative. So do you see we ended up with another negative there? A double negative becomes a positive. I'm going to rewrite it, but you don't have to. If you want to skip this step, that's fine. But a minus a negative becomes a plus 10. And then step 4 is to add or subtract. So here we just say the signs are different, subtract, and take the sign of the larger, which was the 10. Okay, let's look at another one. Order of operations sends us in here first. So this -3 and this +4 come down, and this is going to stay in parentheses because that 4 is right next to the parentheses. It means multiplication. See here, we didn't have a number in front of there, so we could drop it out. So we're going to say 7 minus 9. The signs are different because this is like a +7. So we subtract 9 minus 7 is 2, and take the sign of the larger, which is that 9 or negative. So we got rid of our parentheses. Step 2, exponents, there's not any. Step 3, multiply. So we're going to multiply this right here. So this -3 and this plus come down. And then we say 4 times 2 is 8. The signs are different, so it's negative. Again, remember, when there's a plus right here, you can just ignore it. You're just looking at the signs. By saying -3 and -8, the signs are alike. Add and keep the same sign. So if you'll just follow the steps, hopefully you'll get the right answers there. Okay, next one. First step is parentheses, but just like that, oh, that's the same problem. So never mind, we've already done that one. I guess I wrote it twice. So let's move down to this one. Now we got a lot going on here. So again, you get confused, just refer to your note sheet. So first step is parentheses. There's a parentheses here, but nothing to simplify. So we're going to go inside this parentheses. That's where we need to do the work. So within that parentheses, I don't mind if you write this right on top of here. Within the parentheses, we're going to multiply first. So 2 times 5 is 10. Signs are different, so it's negative. And then we still have that -8. So now we would say the signs are alike, add and keep the same sign. So that whole thing became a -18. Just bring everything else down. This plus comes down. And if you want to go ahead and multiply now, since that's the next step anyway, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to show every single step. You can combine some steps if you want to. Just make sure you show me some steps. So here I'm going to go ahead and multiply since that's next, and say 3 times 4 is 12. The signs are different, so it's negative. Then we have our division line. Whoops. And then we look at the bottom and we have a double negative. So remember, a double negative becomes a positive. And then our last step is to add. So on the top, remember, if it's a plus and negative, you're kind of just ignoring that and saying the signs are alike. So we add and keep the same sign. So on the top, we get a -30. And on the bottom, 8 plus 2 is 10. But then we've got to simplify all fractions, or really a fraction is just a division problem. This is just saying 30 divided by 10 is 3. The signs are different, so it's negative. So I want you to kind of say those steps in your head so that you can get those right. And then these last two problems seem really easy, but so many people get mixed up on them. And these are dividing by 0. So you might have heard the saying, there's a little song they wrote about, you can't divide by 0. No, you can't. So you can never divide anything by 0. So when you look at these two problems, 9 divided by 0 is no solution. It doesn't work. If you put 9 divided by 0 in a calculator, it'll say error, and that's because it won't work. But if you put 0 divided by 9, you will get an answer and get 0. So let me explain why. So when you divide by 0, 9 divided by 0 is saying I have 9 things. Let's make 9 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. It's telling me to take those things and divide them into nothing. How can you take something that exists and make it disappear? I can't make them go away. I can't divide them into a pile of nothing. And so that's why this is no solution. You can't do that. But when you have 0, I can have $0 and I can give 9 people $0. I can take 0 and divide it into 9 piles of 0. Because you can divide, what am I trying to say? You can take nothing and divide it into as many piles of nothing as you want. But you can't take something and divide it into nothing, because the number 9 exists of some quantity, so you can't divide it by 0. Okay, so that's 1.6, and go try your practice problems.